when I was a little kid, I had rashes and they were on my neck and my face, and they moved up and down my body. And now when I talk to my clients, I talk about rashes as guests that you weren't expecting. So they can either last for a few days or maybe a couple of hours, but you just don't know when they're coming and when they're going. And I didn't really notice it that much. I really didn't, but other people noticed because I had really clean skin and I had complexion that people recognized to be smooth and nice. So off we went again for another round of tests. And this time I was exposed to the allergy tests. And, they're up and down your arm, and my arm looked kind of like a pin cushion, so sometimes the bumps and the itching would happen right away. Sometimes it would take a couple of hours, but it was pretty clear from the testing that I was allergic, and I was allergic to dander and feathers, meat and chicken and tomatoes and, fish and grass, and I think cherries too. And those were just a few of those things. And even though this list wasn't very long by comparison, because at that time, my friend was having allergy tests and she was allergic to everything, it was still overwhelming. Not as much for me as it was for my parents, but it was because where do you go? What do you do when someone is allergic to everything? Maybe that's you, maybe that's your child, maybe that's your friend. What do you eat? How does this work? We live in a world where there's dust. We live in a world where you have pets. So what's the alternative, right? Do you restrict, and how do you move and you shake? So, and adapt to what is going on around you. And this is the same situation that I had in my 20s after I was put on blood thinners. So I was put on blood thinners, and at that time, it was very, very clear that you had to pay attention to what you were eating and how you were operating in your life. So if you were eating green vegetables one day, you had to make sure you had the same types of vegetables the next day. And it was on and on and on. And it was so overwhelming. At 24, you weren't supposed to drink. You weren't supposed to overindulge. If you got hit on some way, or if you got a cut, you had to pay attention. And then at that time, you had to go, and I think it's still the same now, but you had to go and get blood work. I had to go every day for a while. And then all of a sudden I think they called on Christmas Eve, which was really unusual, but they called on Christmas Eve to say, get off the blood thinner right away. Your blood is too thin. So whether it's a rash in childhood or a medication as an adult, the overwhelming piece is not understanding what's going on or why. So the questions start happening. What happens if I forget my medication? What happens if I eat this? What happens if I eat that? Do I have a rash? How long does it last? When is this going to get better? If I do everything perfectly and follow all the rules and don't worry about this and that and what to do here and how to do this, and just always think here, right? Always be writing a list and figuring out a pattern. When is it going to get better? So what I find remarkable about both scenarios is that what I was never really told is why and what the root was. What is the root cause? And people are always talking about root causes. And sometimes it gets a little overwhelming because they don't tell you how to figure out what the root cause is. So, okay, skin conditions. As a clinical herbalist and a holistic living coach, I know that the skin condition, a rash, eczema, anything that is causing inflammation in the skin is an indication that something else is going on in other areas of your body. But nobody told me that. And the truth of the matter is, if that is the case, then you got to look deeper. So the whispers of your body is what is going on before there are screams. And when there's a skin condition, that is a scream. It's pretty obvious. So these areas in which we have weak constitutions or weaknesses. So for me, it was my digestive system, but for other people, it could be weaker lungs or weaker kidneys. Either way, as your body continues to whisper, eventually there becomes a scream. And that can be in the form of hives, that can be in the form of eczema, as I mentioned, or rashes. And what is so remarkable about herbs and holistic healing is that you can have relief when your body is screaming at you as you identify the root of the issue. But it's a listening game. The listening game of what is going on and what is your body saying. What I wish I would have known then that I know now is that if you have a skin issue, you also have something else going on in your system that needs to be addressed. The second thing I wish I would have known is that diet influences everything. It influences your inner health ecosystem, and it can tip one direction or the other in terms of what your body responds to. And thirdly, you can have very, very quick wins. You can find relief. One of the quick wins that I had as a kid was we took out the feather pillows. That's what I had been sleeping on, and that resolved a lot of the issues. But if you're not aware of what changes things and how things are going on in your body, in your life, because you're not even listening to the whispers, you're not playing the whisper game, the listening game, then you don't always know where your quick wins are. And then lastly, you need to understand the why behind the plan. So even if you just understand it a little bit, this will help with your motivation. And I just put it on a masterclass that people really loved. And I talked about the difference between willpower and motivation, and that you need to have a why so that you have motivation so that you can stick with a plan. And that is what a lot of people miss when they start doing health changes and plans, is nobody explains the why, or they don't explain it in a way that you can understand it, that allows you to find that motivation. So I have some quick wins for you. And I go to the skin in particular because that is one of those areas in our bodies that are it's noticeable. It's an irritant when the skin is flaring up, and we can find some quick wins for that as you deal with your adrenal glands, your gut health, your circulation, or your lungs, or your detoxing in your liver area. So the three herbs that I like to use for skin conditions are rosemary, chickweed, and lavender. So rosemary is one of my favorite herbs. I, of course, use it for digestive issues, especially with meat. So, you can cook with rosemary, and I just love the smell of it. So I just have it everywhere. I'm currently trying to overwinter my rosemary plants at other people's houses because they have more sunlight than I do. I'm dedicated to rosemary. But the best part about rosemary is you can also use it for skin conditions. So I love it in my toner. I have product line, and the toner has rosemary in it. So it's great for blemishes and closing pores. It's also really good for hair loss and dandruff. So I use my toner, like I spray it in the room, I spray it on my hair. I just love it. The essential oil is in that toner, and it's great for memory, and it fights fatigue. It helps with mental clarity. And then the energy around that, again, is knowledge and clarity. So it combats confusion and uncertainty. So the second herb that I love is chickweed. And I bring up chickweed because it is a weed and it grows in our yards and in our sidewalks. So this is where I want people to understand that herbs are everywhere. There is a function, and we can really find herbs in all places. So chickweed is one of those things that's really good for insect bites. So if you're on a hike or you have a little bit of an irritant from something while you're outdoors, you find chickweed in your yard, you smash it up and you put a little water on it, and then you place it on wherever that irritation is. Now, chickweed is often in salves. You use the whole herb. It's in washes. So if you're going in and you're looking in a health food store or anywhere, you'll often find like chickweed plantain salve, and that's really good. It's very soothing. As I said, you can also use it as an external wash, and it's great for calming down inflammation and making that skin feel less irritated. And then lastly, lavender. Now, I love lavender as well. And lavender is one of those herbs that most people really like, but I know some people don't. So if you're not a fan of lavender, I just want you to swap lavender for geranium, because geranium is also really, really soothing for the skin. So lavender is also great for sunburns and dandruff and hair loss. And it's wonderful as a wash, so you can put it in a bath. So when I speak of lavender with sunburns, I often tell people to use it with a carrier oil, like a drop or two with coconut oil or argan oil. You just put a drop in and rub that onto the sunburn. It's very soothing and also has calming effects. That's where we're talking about where it calms down the nervous system. It is great for, relaxation. So is geranium, as I said, if you're not a fan of lavender. And we use the essential oil for the energy of being confident, feeling calm, not hiding, not being fearful. So those are just three of my favorite herbs that I deal with skin conditions on a basis. But the most important part of this video is more about knowing that you can have quick wins while you're looking for the root cause of what is going on with your body. And as I said, this is a listening game. So if you're curious about which areas of your body are whispering to you, because many times we already know what's screaming at us, right? Oh yeah, I can't go to the bathroom, or I go to the bathroom all the time. That is a scream, right? Oh, I have blemishes all in here or on my neck. That is a scream. But where are the whispers? So if you're curious as to what's going on and how your body is communicating to you, I am going to put on a masterclass all about this. So during this masterclass, you're going to learn your quick wins on how to have comfort while you're uncovering your inner health ecosystem imbalances, your root causes. As with all my masterclasses, you'll get a workbook that allows you to customize what is going on with you, so that when something is out of balance and when you understand what your body is whispering to you, you know how to address it. This is the perfect time to identify and decode the message of your body so that the whispers don't become screams. I can't wait to see you there. Please put a comment, reach out to me, and I will get you all the information as to when and where that masterclass is going to be held. Until then, stay in luxury and holistic living.